Praise be to God. Hello, my dear brothers and sisters in Christ. My name is Shan Shaji. It is my honor to be sitting here in front of you. I first of all would like to thank shekinah.americas for giving me this opportunity to share my faith journey with all of you. John chapter 20, verse 29. Have you believed because you have seen? Blessed are those who have not seen yet believed. Being at my young age of 24, it's this constant tussle of believing in something that I have not seen, believing in something that there is no proof in, that I cannot show to my friends, those who question me, to my neighbors. It is believing in something that happened 2,000 years ago. It might sound silly to someone outside of my Catholic faith, but it is my choice, the choice I've taken at this age to believe, to continue in the faith that my parents have given me. I come from a strict Catholic following family. My parents are very religious. They take me to church 3 times a week, on Tuesday evenings, Friday evenings, and Sunday mornings. And being an altar server, at times I have to attend 2 masses on Sunday mornings, one in Malayalam and the second one in English. I think my first memory of praying was maybe when I was 3 or 4 years old, maybe 5, and I was with my mom and her twin sister and my cousin, who was my mom's twin's son. His name is Albin. We were both maybe 5 years old, and we were in front of Mother Mary's statue kneeling during evening prayer. We used to live in the same house, my mom and her twin, both our families. We were 6 of us. We used to live in the same house, and both our dads were at work. So we would be at home at night, with my mom and my mom's twin. And I remember they first handed me the rosary, and we were saying the rosary, and they showed us, you count each Hail Mary and each Our Father and how to complete. And it was a joy to be with my mom. And that is my first fond memory of learning how to pray through my mom and my aunt. And from then on, it was consistent. We kept on going to church, kept on praying every evening. But being 5 or 6 years old, I never knew the meaning behind anything I was doing. But I really thank my parents for, always encouraging me and at times enforcing me, because I would not be interested in praying. But later on, looking back, it was those moments that today, like when I go home at evening and we don't have prayer, I feel like I'm missing something. And it's surely because they trained me, they gave me the roots of my faith. And being born in a Catholic family, I was just I was just going with the flow. It's like being in a lazy river at a water park. You're just sitting there and, everybody is going in the same direction. You have no control in what you're doing. Similarly, everyone being young as children, we do whatever our parents do, especially before going to school. They pray, they go to do grocery, they go to parties. It was just like that. It was just something that I do with my parents. But I noticed that this prayer, this evening prayer, this rosary, this is a constant in life. Only once in a while we'd go to a party. Once every week we'll go to do grocery shopping. But prayer, evening prayer, this was a consistent part of my daily activities, like showering and eating. And I realized that. And I think my first memory of praying for something to Jesus must have been when my cousin Albin, he had a little sister. And I was so jealous of his little sister, and how he had another member in his family, and how he had someone to love and take care of. And I remember my mom telling me, if you want a little sibling, pray to Jesus. Jesus will give you, he will listen to your prayers. And I think that was the first time when I sat in front of Jesus and asked for something, prayed for something. I asked Jesus, Albin, Abi, I call him Abi, has a little sister. I also want a little sister. Jesus, please give my parents a baby so I can have a little sibling. And I would jealously look at my Albin having fun and taking care of his little sister. And God didn't answer my prayers immediately, but within 2 years, he answered my prayers. And I had a prayed for a younger sister, just like Albin had, and eventually it was a boy. I had my younger brother Roshan, and I was so upset at God. I was so unhappy because I wanted to have a little sister. But later on, I realized that maybe if I had a little sister, I would not have been able to connect with my sibling as much as I do with my younger brother Roshan, because him being a boy, we are be able to share a lot of things, be it clothes, like we understand each other a lot more, and we can have the same interests. And at the end of the day, it was God's choice to give me a younger brother. And like we always say, God always knows best, and He did know that. He gave me the best. And this was my first memory of praying for something. And during my childhood, we would move around a lot. I was 2 years when I left Kerala and moved to London. Then I was maybe 6 or 7 when we moved to America, and we were first in Virginia. Then we moved to New York. So it was a lot of traveling, and during a lot of these traveling, like we were not able to find a constant, stay consistent with our church family. We might not have a Malayalam Kurbana where we went. So it was a lot of change. And as a young child, I was not able to understand all of this. But later on, it was when we came to New York, Long Island, where we are settled right now, that I found a good faith community at St. Mary's Church. And I've been going there since 4th grade, and I have been part of the catechism, and I have been part of the altar service and youth ministry. And I think since my parents were very devout, I would learn to say the prayers with them. And, I would always have my hands clasped during Kurbana and pray loudly the prayers. And slowly people started noticing that I was being prayerful. And even in Malayalam, we speak Malayalam at home. So I was very fluent with my Malayalam. So I was able to say the prayers during Malayalam Mass, and aunties and uncles would notice this. And it made me happy because they would label me as a good child, a good kid, and he's very faithful. And they would go to my parents and compliment them. And then for a while, it was just, I was running for these compliments. It was not about maybe prayer, but like later on, I got invited to altar serve, and everyone my age started to altar serve. And that's when I would be on the altar. And it was not about praying per se. It was more from my innocent mind. It was about standing on the altar, and my parents and everybody in the congregation noticing me. But beginning there, that was really what transformed my faith life, being close to the altar. It began as an opportunity to stand in front of the congregation and get noticed by everyone. But later on, it really, staying close to the altar is what brought me to really realize that there is a living God in that host, and really believe in my faith. And so at the beginning of my faith, like most other believers, I think being immature in my faith, all I could think of was God was someone who answered prayers, granted wishes. So all the time I would spend praying to God would be asking for wishes and grants. And like He was someone that came out of, somewhere just to grant my wishes. And later on, it was that I realized that God is not simply an answering machine where you send your messages and prayers and He grants wishes. He's not Santa Claus. He's our Father, and He loves us. And it is because of Him that, we are created. And it is because out of His love that we are His creations. We are His children, right? It was then that I realized that God is much more than someone who grants my wishes. And this journey, this realization took time. It was during my childhood, elementary days, the biggest prayer was, attending an exam and waiting for the results. And while I was waiting for the results, constantly asking God, I need this grade. I want this mark. I need to meet this expectation. I have to impress my parents. And many times, I wouldn't get the mark I wanted, that I desired, that I prayed for. And I was confused, like, why didn't God answer my prayers? But it was throughout the years that I learned, like, God is not someone who just gives you grades, like it is the work that you put in that gives you the results, and God supports in all of this. So later on, my parents were very supportive of going to retreats. So I would, from very young age, maybe middle school, we would attend a lot of retreats. My parents would encourage me to go to a lot of any event they could sign me up for. So many retreats I've attended during my middle school, high school years, and it would be during the summer, maybe like 3 in the summer, 1 in the winter, and I would have my companion, Albin, my cousin. He would be constantly, we are the same age, so he would be there constantly with me, and together we would sit together and listen to speakers talk about God and how God has touched their lives. And these retreats really changed me, my perspective. A lot of questions that I had about my faith were answered during these retreats. And all the time I would like to thank my parents for taking me, putting the effort to sign me up and send me. And later during COVID, when the world shut down, I think what I missed the most was these retreats that I would go to. I would spend time with other believers, and we would share stories and beliefs and questions and concerns, and we would listen to speakers and people who have more knowledge than us tell us and teach us about God. And I think most of my knowledge and understanding about God and faith comes from attending retreats. Also, I think my biggest transformation was probably during CCD, Sunday school. And initially, Sunday school was something that I would not care about. I would simply answer the questions and grades to get my grades. And it was nothing that I could really take back home until I reached 9th grade. And I remember in my 9th grade syllabus, we learned about the Kurbana. And that was something that really touched me, because Kurbana is something we attend every Sunday, right? It's something that we actually practice. So I was able to follow the book and understand what the book was saying. And that is when I really understood the Kurbana, which I have been serving for all these years. It was during that 9th grade Sunday school that I realized that 1 year that helped me understand the meaning behind each and every aspect, the intro song, the homily, the Bible readings, when the consecration, the coming of the Holy Spirit. This all was taught to me during Sunday school. And it was in that 9th grade that I was able to practice what I was taught in Sunday school. And that really transformed me. And that really helped me to connect with the Kurbana that I was joining. And from then, it was not about standing in front of the congregation, getting appreciation from the parents and uncles saying, you pray good. It was about serving the altar, serving my God. And since then, I have made it a point to always attend, to always serve. I think in my life, 99% of the Kurbanas that I have joined, I have been on the altar, be it altar serving, reading, or at least standing by so that Shan can, in case that Shan needs something, I can attend to him. And being that close to the altar has really helped me to understand more about my faith and my God. And I thank my parish community and my parents who have consistently given me the opportunity. Many times my mom would come from night shift from the hospital, and most parents would end up just going to sleep, and they would say, okay, it's okay, next Sunday we can go to church. But my mom, coming from night shift, she would never say, let's not go to Kurbana today, let's sleep in. She would, even in those sleepy eyes, she would drive us all the way, 40 minutes away, to our Malayalam church and help me and my brother attend Holy Kurbana and altar serve. And I really thank her for that. And later in my teenage years, I think past my teenage years, once I entered college, is when we all kind of face the real world. Until then, we're protected in a bubble by our parents, and we live in people with similar interests and similar beliefs. And we reach college, I think our 20s, when we really start to see and interact with outsiders. And we realize the world is beyond just Catholics and Christians. When I was a child, I thought everybody that I met, especially every Mallu person that I met, was a Catholic and a Christian. Then I learned that there are other religions and people have other beliefs. And just like that, it was to a greater level when I reached college that I learned that there are many people who do believe in God, who do not believe in God, and people believe things that only are backed by science. And it was at this time that I began to really question that I have not seen. Why should I believe? Everything else in this world, there is proof for. People have seen. There's scientific studies backing this. But this thing that I've been bringing along all my life. There is no proof for it. People just say believe. And that's when I really started questioning, is there some meaning behind this? And I would go on my own research, and I would ask other people and build up my own theories. And it was very confusing for me that I realized that this is something I was just thrown into. I never chose the Catholic faith. My parents chose it for me, and now should I choose it for myself? It was really a tussle that constantly went on in my head. And for a long time, there was no answers. Again, I would still go to church and attend, but it was more just something that I would do as like a custom and just keep doing it because I was used to doing this. And I think the first time that I really realized that there is a God, and it was at a moment when I had no answers. So almost more than a year back, my dad had a very mild stroke. And this was my dad is a very healthy man, and he takes care of himself, and so we were not really concerned about him having any health conditions. And even with his mild back, he has kind of a severe back pain, but even with all of that, like nothing ever that kept him in bed. And so we were never really praying. Like I was never personally praying for health, or like I was never concerned about losing one of my parents or anything. And it was suddenly one morning that we get a call from my dad's workplace saying that he's feeling unwell and he's not able to move. We are taking him we called the ambulance and we're taking him to the hospital. And I was in shock. I didn't know how to react. And I realized that I learned that my dad, he feels like he's not able to move his left arm and left leg, and he feels paralyzed to that side. And we rushed to the hospital, me, my mom, and my brother. And I remember it was a Sunday morning, and being an altar server, I immediately called up my church because I was not able to altar serve that day. I was supposed to get on the altar, and I say, I have an emergency, I'm not able to come. And we immediately rushed to the hospital, and it was very scary for me because, like I said, I was not expecting something like this. And we walk into the hospital, and my mom sees my dad first, and we wait outside, me and my brother, and they let me go in. And I see my dad waiting by the air room, and he's still in his work uniform, and he's laying there, and I have never seen my dad so helpless. And I walk up to him and I ask, Papa, what happened? I just simply ask what happened, and I hold his hands, and he starts weeping. And he breaks down and he starts weeping. And I don't know what to do. My dad is the one who consoles me when I'm in tears, and seeing that man in tears broke me. And so I held him close, and I told him, it's okay, Papa, it's okay, we're with you. And, don't cry, we're with you. And the man was just weeping. And I later found out that he didn't cry when my mom walked in, and he broke down when he saw me. And I suppose that him seeing his children and him seeing me, his older son, must have, that he gives me so much value that me being his firstborn, after him, I take care of the family. And he really opened up to me, and that really touched me. And later on, it was supposed to be my mother, but she was outside, so I ended up going with my dad to take the scans that the hospital and the doctors needed. And I was not allowed to enter into the scanning room, and I had to stay outside. And I remember my dad had to get up because nobody was able to help him. He had to get up off the stretcher by himself and lay down on the scanning machine. And I felt so lost. I felt like I had no one. I felt like I needed somebody. And at that moment I said, God, Jesus, be with my dad. Be with my dad, because I can't be there with him right now. But God, be with him, strengthen him. And it is at those moments that you realize that there is a power, there is a divine power that is beyond human comprehension. And I felt a warmth. I felt an assurance that, my dad will be okay. And it was just constant prayer. And, later on we went to have further analysis on what happened and further finding on what happened to him. And we went to a neurologist. And I went with my dad, and sitting with the neurologist, they were not able to find an answer to why he had the sudden mild stroke that he did. And they were like, there is no reason, there is nothing pointing to what happened. And I believe that it was something much bigger that was supposed to come, but my God listened to the prayers of me and my family and held it back, because he knows that, I wouldn't be able to survive. And I got the answer that, there is someone that is with you, that is constantly with you, that is waiting for you. There is a Father in heaven who loves you and is a constant presence. Maybe you run away from him, but he never runs away from you. That realization, that it drives me even today, that there is a God that is with me and my family, that listens to me. And I have begun to not pray, not go to him for my wishes to be granted, but I sit with my Lord. I sit with him in adoration. I sit with him in Kurbana, and I talk to him like a real father, like I would talk to my dad. I talk to him. I share to him my concerns, my observations, my small, wishes, maybe my little happiness and my little sorrows. I like to spend time with him, and I realize that God is beyond just someone who answers my prayers, and that he's my Father, and that he loves me and he's with me, and he's just like my earthly father. He's my heavenly Father, and he loves me. And I hope that all of us one day get to have this realization, that you all get touched by the love of God, and that you all realize that we are not alone in this earth. God is with us, and he will continue to be with us. Thank you.